Welcome to Programming Exam Solution Tutorial 6, where we're going to be looking at ensuring that we have different player names. We don't really want to have a situation in the program where both players are called Bob or Joe, so we're going to have another validation. It's actually a sort of kind of weird look at validation. Rather than looking at it from a long list, it's looking at that one value isn't the same as another. We're going to stick it in a loop, as you always do for validations. We need to create a new Boolean variable, and then we're going to have a simple selection statement to set the exit condition for the loop. Right, let's flick to the code, and we're going to be working with this bit of code here where the two players are entering their name. I guess we ought to create the Boolean first. I'm going to make it a global and player name valid as Boolean. I'm going to set it to false, to start with, equals false. I could have done this later on, but I'm just being lazy and doing it in one statement. Right, we ought to create a loop. Do, and now underneath the player names, we'll have it here, loop until player name valid equals true. So we haven't really worked out the conditions yet, but now what we've got a Boolean variable and we've got a loop that exits when the player name valid Boolean is set to true. So what we really need now is a little selection statement to check that these two are different. So if player 1 name is not equal to player to player 2 name. So if player 1 name is not equal to player 2 name, then player name valid equals true. So let's make sure this works. I'm going to keep looping until player name valid equals true. Player name valid is set to true if player 1 name is not equal to player 2 name. So as long as player 1 name and player 2 name are different, then it will set that to true. This line will only run if they're not the same. Well, let's test that. So for the test, the obvious thing we're going to do is whack in two names of the same. So we'll have Joe and Joe. It hasn't really given me a message. Do you know what? Probably for this validation I ought to have a message to say they're not allowed to be the same, but okay. Let's try Joe and Joe. Is that going to be allowed? Depending on the specification of the program, am I allowed to have a lowercase Joe and an uppercase Joe? In this case, the way I've set it, it is allowed. I guess for this I really ought to be more specific, but you know, for now you've got the idea. Let's whack in a little message to say that they're supposed to be different. So else console dot write line names must be different. And now when we run it, Joe, names must be different, and it asks me for the name again.